All right, in this video, I'm going to be going through our volleyball rotations. I'm going to be going through the base and the serve receive of said rotations, and I'm going to be offering some tips and tricks as to how to cover and how to move as we start playing. So for this explanation, we are going to assume that we did not get the first serve. When we're in our first serve, we are in base 1. Now, since we did not get first serve, we have to rotate technically backwards into what's called base 6. Base 6 is when our setter is in a front row attacking player. So our setter is in the opposite side of our opposite hitter, which is confusing. Our outside hitters are opposite of each other or across each other, and our middle hitters are across each other. Notice how VB is going to be volleyball. So the volleyball is on the other side of our net. This dashed line is going to be our net as we go through the video. This solid line is going to be the attack line. So as we serve, right? Or the opponent serve and the ball comes on over. As the ball is coming over, we want to get our outside hitter to the outside and our middle hitter to the inside, which is great because that's where we want them to be. Let's say the pass goes to our back row middle, goes to our setter, and we have a great hit, and it goes over. As that ball goes over, we want to get, again, opposite, outside, middle. Now, technically, we do not have to do this, but if you are trying to learn the game, it is good to know that our outsides are now in front of each other, middles are now in front of each other, and our right side players are now in front of each other. We do not have to do that in the back. We don't have to. It all depends on your coach, but this is how we would go about it. And then ball comes over, and ball comes over, set, boom, and then our middle pounds it down. Love that. So now that we won our serve, we would change into base 1. Again, which our setter is now going to be the one who is serving. We all shift clockwise 1 rotation. So we go clockwise. Move on up. So our setter is on the opposite side of our opposite, middles, and our outsides. So this is great. So as we serve it over, our opposite's going to shift on over, as well as our outside to get to where they need to go. Now, we're going to leave the setter in the back row because they are a back row player. So as this ball comes up, we're going to hope that it does not go to the setter. Let's say it goes to our middle passer. Our setter is going to come on up to where the setter should be. Let me move our attackers back because now the ball is coming over. We drop on back. We pass it to our setter, sends it to our outside, and now ball is live. Well, as the ball goes to the other side, our setter has to drop back because they are a passer. If the ball comes back on over and it goes to our setter and the setter passes it, we have to yell out sets dead. Or setter out, sorry. Setter out. We yell setter out, which means that someone has to step up and be the setter. Typically, and it's not always, but typically our opposite player will act as a setter because they are naturally where the setter is going to end up being. They're a right side player. So then we would pass it, we'd set it, and then our outside pounds it down, which is great. Okay. So now we have to go back to start. We have to go back to start because we are still serving. So our setter serves. We have to shift it around. We go back to where we belong. And then we play out from there. Let's say setter makes a bad serve, so it's now out of bounds. We no longer have a serve. We have to go into serve receive 1. And since our setter is a back row player, we have 3 attackers. The setter is not allowed to attack. So if you are reading the game and you are trying to analyze where is a setter on the opposite team, there are 2 phrases. And it's morbid, I don't know why, but it's called sets dead. So right now our setter is a non-attacker. They're not allowed to attack. So it's sets dead, 3 hits, which means you have 3 attacking players. We need to cover for this setter. And typically on especially a higher level team, your better passers are going to be your outside hitters. So you want your outside hitters to cover and pass whenever possible. No offense to any middles, back rows, or opposites, but typically speaking, you want your outside hitters to be passing. The setter cannot go in front of our outside and cannot go to the left of our middle. So what we're going to do is we're going to drop back this outside hitter. That way our outside hitter is in front of our setter. So as this ball comes on over, our setter is now free to move. Our setter can now come on up and set. This is what we're going to say, stay for one. Our opposite wants to be on the right, but they have to stay for one attack. They're going to stay and act like a left-sided hitter or an outside hitter. Our outside hitter one, who just was passing, is going to act like a right-sided hitter. So let's say we get a good pass, get a good set, and it goes on over. Now that we attacked and the ball is back over the net, our outside hitter one and our opposite are going to switch. Our setter is technically a back row player, so they have to pass. Our middle two, or a defensive specialist, and our outside hitter. You two should be more aggressive in terms of passing because we want our setter to be able to come on up. So let's say the ball comes on over and it does not go to a setter again, which is great. Our setter comes in the front. We're able to pass to our setter, send it to our opposite, and they pound down, which is great. So now we won the point. We have to go into base two. Again, we shift one clockwise. So now our setter is in the middle. Again, we are opposite of our counterparts. Our outside hitter one is going to serve, so they serve. Our middle wants to be a middle player. Our opposite wants to hit from the right. Typically, we want our setter to shift on over. Our middle comes in the middle, and our outside comes over here. Whenever possible, we want to have our setter on the right-hand side. That way, they can easily move up and down. And let's say we lost the point, right? It was a bad set. Now we have to go into serve receive too. And again, we need to cover our setter. Our setter cannot go to the left of our middle two, cannot go to the right of our outside hitter one, cannot go past our opposite. What we're going to do is we're going to push this setter as high up as possible. We're going to drop our middle two. We're going to put them between. Drop our middle two because remember the setter cannot be to the left of our middle two. And we're going to drop back our outside hitter two. So now we have three back row players. Outside hitter one, our middle two, and our outside hitter two. Again, setter cannot go in front of our opposite. It cannot go left of our middle and right of our outside. So they're going to be hanging out right here. Now, your coaches may try to put you into a different general location, but this is the general way to go about it. As our ball comes on over, either three back here, it doesn't matter. Our middle is going to get to our middle spot. Our opposite player is going to get to our right side. Our setter goes into set, and our outside hitter becomes the outside hitter again, which is great. So let's say we have good pass, good set, outside, and now it goes over. Again, we need to get our passers where they need to go. So now our outside hitter one is going to swing on over. Our setter is going to drop into the back row. And now we're all where we want to be because we want to have our setter be able to easily get to that setter spot. But if they're starting all the way on the left, it's going to be harder for them to get to where they've got to go. So we start on the right and then get over to the right. Let's say that we win the point. It was great. We now got to go into base three. So now our setter is in the spot all the way to the left in the back row. So now our middle hitter one is going to be serving. As we serve here, it goes on over. Our opposite's where we want them to be. Our outside is not. Our outside is going to switch with our middle. So now we have our three attacking players in our spots. Outside again, we go to left. Setter comes over to the right. Middle will then come in the middle. So now we're lined up exactly where we want to be, which is great. I'd say it comes over and it goes to our setter. Okay. Think about what we say if it gets to our setter. Okay. Think about it. What do we say? Think about it. You got it. What do we say? What do we say? setter out, setter out, setter out. Which down means, again, our opposite is probably going to be acting like our new setter. So we set it, boom, it goes over, which is great. Whatever. It's going on, going on, going on. It comes back on over, does not go to our setter. Our setter pops up, a good set to the outside, boom. We win the point, which is great. So now we do it all over again. But if we lost the point, they now are going to be serving. So we have serve, receive, 3. Again, we want to block our setter whenever possible. Now here's where it gets tricky. Typically, middles, sorry y'all, you're not really going to be passing. Especially if you are a front row player, you are not going to be passing. We want to drop our outside hitter back. Now, our outside hitter cannot go further than our middle and cannot go behind our other outside. So this middle is going to send all the way far left. Our setter is going to come on up. Our outside hitter can come on back. Because our setter and the outside, from where we start, have no relationship at all. There's nothing going on that's preventing the setter from being in front of our outside hitter 2. The setter can just not be in front of our middle 2, cannot be to the right of our outside hitter 1. So if our setter pops up, our outside hitter pops back. This is typically how we are going to set it up. Again, your coach may do it a little bit differently, but this is a general understanding of how it's going to work. Now, our outside hitter 2, you are an attacking player. You are attacking. So as we play, you are then going to be in the front row. So ball comes over, it goes to our middle 1. Middle attacker, you get to where you belong. Setter, you get to where you belong. We pass our setter. Our attacking outside can now come up. We set it, and then boom, it's over. We are now playing it out, playing it out. Our outside hitter is still going to be our outside hitter, outside back row, middle back row, and setter drop back. Again, our outside hitter and our outside back row and our middle back row, you two need to be more aggressive to try to allow the setter to be able to move. Now, that doesn't mean you have to cover half of the court. If you can't get there and the setter has to be the one to pass it, that's fine. But if we can be a bit aggressive and help our setter, it's going to be great. So let's say it comes over, have a clean pass to our setter, and we play a ball to the middle. Boom, gets pounded down, which is great. Now we're in serve receive. Now we're in base 4, which is great. Our setter is front row. 4, 5, and 6, our setter is front row, which is great. Now, with our setter as front row, there is another phrase that we can use. If we are analyzing the opponent's team here, and we see the setter starting in the front row, we say sets live 2 hits, which means that we have middle 2 as a hitter, and our outside 2 as a hitter. The setter can technically attack now, and we're going to get to that a bit later. But technically, the setter is allowed to attack because they are a front row player. So our opposite comes back. They serve. Great. It goes over. Our setter goes to where our setter belongs. Outside goes to where our outside belongs. And now we are in a good spot. It comes over. Have a set. Okay, and our setter was ambitious and they wanted to attack for some reason, because they're like, oh yeah, I'm front row, I can now attack. Setters, relax there. As we attack, we found out, hey, we lost it. So now we have to go to serve receive 4. And again, this is great because our setter is front row, so it's not going to be that demanding on us. As the ball comes over our setter, you're going to get to where you belong. Our outside hitter, you get to where you belong. And now we play it out. Was good pass, good set to our outside. It's just a roll shot. And now we're all where we belong, which is great. 1, 2 comes over. Good set to our middle. Point. So now we won the point. We now go into base 5. Base 5 again. Setter is front row, which is great. So our outside hitter comes back, serves it. As that happens, our middle and setter, we switch because our setter wants to be on the right-hand side, middle in the middle. And it comes over. We set it outside, and then it plays on. One thing that I didn't do here, our outside wants to go left, opposite to our right, middle, one in the middle. So now gets played, comes on over, and they just pound it down. So we have to now receive. We go to serve receive 5, again, which is nice because setter is front row. Ball comes over, our middle gets to the middle, our setter gets to our right hand side. Good set to our outside, and then it's still a live ball. Now the ball is over, our middle goes into the middle, outside to the left, opposite to the right, and now we allow it to play over. Good pass to our setter, good set, and then we pound it down. So now we're in base 6, which is where we shift one more. Again, this is good because our setter is front row, which means we do not need to protect them, which is great. So our middle 2 comes, they serve, front row gets to where they belong, outside and goes to the left, opposite goes to the right, middle comes in the middle. So now we are lined up exactly where we need to go. Ball comes on over, and we had a bad pass, and it goes way out of bounds. So now we have to go to serve receive 6, which again, it's fine because our setter is in front row. So as ball comes over, outside goes to left, middle goes into the middle. Good set, good swing, ball is still live. Middle, back row, opposite, back row, outside, back row. Ball comes up back on over. Good set. Boom. Pounds it down, which is great. So now that was serve receive 6, and we go back now to base 1, which is where our setter is now serving, and setter again is in the back row, means that they have to come on up and back whenever we are playing it out. Hopefully this was helpful. I'm sorry if this was a little bit long, but we are going to be talking about this soon. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Other than that, we will talk to you soon. Thanks.